President Obama's economic strategy really taking shape this week. Today, he named a new watchdog to monitor how stimulus funds are going to be spent. Over the weekend, he announced his intention to cut the deficit in half within 4 years, despite the additional burden of the $787 billion stimulus plan. Earlier, he told our nation's governors how a chunk of that stimulus money will be put to work.
And to show you that we are serious about putting this recovery plan into action swiftly, I'm announcing today that this Wednesday, our administration will begin distributing more than $15 billion in federal assistance under the Recovery Act to help you cover the costs of your Medicaid program.
So, are the president's goals realistic? Simon Rosenberg is the president and founder of the advocacy group NDN, advising Democrats on economic issues. He also served in President Clinton's famous war room back in '92. And Brad Blakeman is the former deputy assistant to former President George W. Bush. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Simon, first of all, given the size of the stimulus program that's just been passed, I mean, it's, roughly $1 trillion of money that we don't have. Are President Obama's goals to bring this deficit down, are they realistic, do you think?
Well, I think the choice in front of us right now is, are we willing to do what's required to prevent the American economy and the global economy tipping into a global depression, and a depression here in the United States? And I think on balance, the decision that's been made by the current administration is that it's better to have a vigorous economic recovery plan to prevent the economy from continued sliding.
You're saying we have to...
At the cost of borrowing 4 to 5% more a year on top of the existing debt that we have. And I think the decision has been made that this is a better plan, and certainly the American people seem to be with the president now.
A big part of the method, I guess, that he hopes to use to be able to slash the deficit, Brad, is to obviously withdraw troops from Iraq, not be spending as much money in Iraq, and also increasing taxes on the wealthy, letting the Bush tax cuts expire in 2010. Will that be enough to get him to where he says he wants to be?
It certainly won't, John, not with $2 billion of additional spending. The president, remember in the campaign, said he was going to take out that scalpel. Well, he didn't pick up the scalpel. He picked up the rubber stamp, and is rubber stamping spending that our country has never seen in our history. The world, in fact, has never seen in any economy. And where is the cutting of government? All what President Obama has done in the last 2 weeks has dribs and drabs on what our spending is going to be, with absolutely no information as to what the cutting of government spending is going to be. You can't just spend and hope that the spending will turn into jobs. It just won't happen that way. You got to cut taxes, and you got to grow our way to prosperity. That's the difference between Republicans and Democrats.
The evidence is, Simon, that the economy is not really going to get a whole lot better until next year. That's what most economists seem to say. If that's the case, is next year the time to be letting these Bush tax cuts expire and essentially increasing taxes?
I think the goal of all of our economic work should be to create long-term sustained prosperity. And I think the debate we're having today and in this around the stimulus is how to best do so. I don't think the goal should be fiscal responsibility as a goal in itself, or to the size of tax cuts. I think what the president has laid out right now is a three-part strategy to prevent the economy from slipping further, to try to save the jobs that he's talked about, 3.5 million jobs, and to make sure that we have a road back towards recovery. I think that we cannot underestimate the severity of the global economic crisis that we're in right now. And I don't think that the goal, as you debate this today, the goal shouldn't be fiscal austerity or fiscal responsibility. It should be long-term sustained growth for our economy and the economies around the world. I think the plan the president's put forth, which includes some of the largest tax cuts in all of American history, is a smart, comprehensive plan that has a very, very strong chance of preventing bad things from happening and making very good things happen in the years to come.
Brad, in just 5 seconds or so, should Republicans get on board now that the stimulus is passed?
The Republicans should get on board and help this president when we can, but we're not going to get on board on bad policies. That should be the difference between Republicans and Democrats now, is we will oppose you on policy and principle. We're not going to oppose you to be obstructionists. Right. And what we've seen now is policies we cannot support.
Brad Blakeman and Simon Rosenberg, thank you both.
Thank you.